ASA. Game on Daily. ASA. Game on Daily.
Not anymore, Peter. Now you've got my face, my shoulders, my background, and a little gap where my green screen's letting me down. Welcome to the world of Q&A, sir. Here we go again. Today's show, if all goes according to plan, might be a little bit shorter than usual. If you've had a little bit of trouble with YouTube there, I sent a little Twitter promotion out after I started the stream. Causes a little bit of mayhem, so apologies if that has caused anyone to miss this highly charismatic intro sequence. It's Q&A, sir. There's some stuff to talk about. Before we do, a word from our sponsor. Wait, bring it up. Behind me over there is Game on Daily. It's a very nice website. It is news aggregation and user content, community focused. Loads of good things and loads of good things coming for it. But if you're not already in there early, get on it. And that's that. So I see loads of people already here. Peter's here, Ida's here, John's here, Painful Discourse is here, Tony's around but saying strange things, so typical Tony. Let's go. So this week in gaming news, I've been a little bit distracted. Got some other stuff going on that I might mention a bit later on, but I've been a little bit distracted. The main thing that most people seem to want to talk about, as far as I can tell, is some stuff that Jim Ryan said about Activision, Blizzard and Call of Duty's exclusivity. I don't intend to talk about that because I don't care. I don't care. So yeah, those are some things. It's not very interesting to me, and I'm sure you've all already formed your own opinions. You all know exactly what's going on there. You've all heard a million people talking about it. I'm going to talk about games and things that I like. So, as always, I always start with what I've been playing, and I always ask you what you've been playing. And I ask that partly because I want to know. I want to know what you're playing. I'm interested in what you're doing, and partly because I'm looking for recommendations. So it's twofold: part for conversation, and part for I'm always looking out for what's good and what to play. Tony playing Fury Unleashed. Fury Unleashed. What's Fury Unleashed? I know Fury, but you're telling me it's like Hades, and you know I like Hades. So maybe I will, Tony. But if your judgment is false, if the game comes up wanting, I won't blame you. It's very difficult for a game to be quite have that exact magical feel that Hades has got. most games don't reach that. I understand. I have been playing Octopath Traveler. You know that I've been playing Octopath Traveler. Painful Discourse has been playing Finish. Never heard of that either. But I'm told that I won't like it, which means it's probably a stealth game or a platform game. Doesn't sound like it with a name like Finish. I've been playing Octopath Traveler still. If you've followed the last 2 or 3 weeks of the show, I've mentioned this game quite a lot on how it's going. But I'm going to talk about it now with a little pinch of rage that wasn't there before. A Plague's Tale, stealth. Welcome along, Joe. Destiny 2's in a good place at the moment. Destiny 2 always looks so gorgeous. They've nailed art. All the screenshots are really enticing on that game, but I can't go and invest in that at the moment. I'm too busy. Octopath Traveler has done... I'm mad because it's shown me up. Because if you look at the videos on this channel, within the last week or two, I put a video up there reprimanding people that use guides for games. And I suggested that if you do that, then you need to give yourself some lashings and pay your penance. Octopath Traveler tricked me into using a guide in a way that I'm really disappointed in. So if you know the game, you've got these 8 characters. It's a JRPG, it's all turn-based. It's got a really good combat system, to be fair to it. And they all 8 characters have their own individual stories. 4 chapters long, a little bit too tight on the formula that they follow, but you can pick and choose what you play of it. So you can pick your first character, you have to pick a first character, and you can entirely focus on their story, play their 4 chapters, and then the game will roll credits. Or you can do what I did, where you go, you collect all 8 of the characters, so you have your starting character that's locked in and you can't move them. The other 7 characters can still play out the entirety of their story, and you can swap them in and out of your party. The way that I played it is I did all 7 characters to completion, following their chapters through kind of in a little rotation. So I did all of the chapter 1s, then all of the chapter 2s, then all of the chapter 3s, and finished off with all of the chapter 4s, finally finishing with my own character. And it rolled credits. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. A lot of the stories seem to be hinting at a bigger picture narrative here. But this appears to be the end of the game. So just out of curiosity, to make sure that I wasn't missing anything really important, I typed some keywords into Google, namely a particular enemy name. So it follows typical JRPG trope where there's a sealed away evil. And if you've played Japanese RPGs at all, you know that 50% of them are set in high schools and 50% of them deal with a sealed away ancient evil deity of some kind. This one falls into the latter. But I looked at the name of this thing thinking, well, is it just a neat bit of backstory? Is it just some world building? Do I not actually encounter this character in the game? Because that's kind of cool. I can go with that. I like a well-founded world that doesn't follow every single trope going. But no, this character is in the game. The 8 stories do converge, but the game doesn't leave you any particular breadcrumbs to let you know that this is happening. And if you're playing this game at the moment and you don't want spoilers, I am carefully wording everything that I say. I won't give you spoilers for this one. But the way that it works is you finish the 8 characters. There's a region on the map that you can't get to until you've done an unlabeled collection of side quests. And they're not side quests that are in any way obvious to their significance. So there's they center around 2 particular characters that are very significant, but their significance is kind of masked. And the side quests are like, oh, I need to meet an actor. Okay, fine, you can meet an actor. Oh, I love that woman over there. Okay, weird story. They don't make any sense. They don't tell you this is important. You need to do this side quest. They just surface level are really tedious, boring side quests that you don't want to touch. But if you do them all, they dovetail in an unexpected way and lead to the true ending of the game. Pissed me off, that did. Now I've had to look at the internet to see what's going on in a game. And I had rolled credits on this game before checking this. It was literally just like, oh, am I missing something fun here? It's a bit strange that they're all referring to this particular entity. No, I had missed a lot. I can see some mention of immortality in the chat there. So Painful Discourse is saying immortality got a lot of praise. You're going to try it. Yeah, it's still sitting over 90 on its meta and open critic scores, I think. Which is surprising when you consider the kind of game that it is. It's an FMV game, so live action footage with a branching story that you can interact with in some way. I've not played it. I hear it's got a lot of sex in it, so I'm probably not going to stream that. Tony says immortality, read the description, proceeded to punch it, but you might try it. Yeah, I thought that might convince you. So Tony is now going to go and play immortality once this stream is done. He wouldn't do it at the same time as watching this. But that's Octopath Traveler, and that's me having to give myself lashings because a game forced me to break my own rules, which is very, very sad. The other games that I've been playing this month, or this week I should say, I know some of you won't care for, but it's not a secret that I really like VR, and these are kind of interesting cases for VR, and there's an interesting reason why I'm playing them, which I may or may not go into. So the two games that I've been playing, Fracked and Phantom Covert Ops, are both from a company called End Dreams, and they both do really neat, interesting things that push VR in certain directions that I like a lot. So Fracked, I streamed that on my Twitch channel. So if you're following my Twitch channel, maybe you were there, maybe you watched that. I know some of you watched me playing Fracked. I know Tony was there trying to pretend that I'm not pinpoint accurate with all of my shots, but got video evidence, Tony. I'm brilliant at that game. If I pick and choose the highlights very carefully, I'm brilliant at that game. But Fracked is, so it's a first-person shooter, art style that's very, very Borderlands in its kind of cell shading. It was originally a PlayStation VR exclusive for about a year, but it came to PC a few months ago. And what End Dreams have done with both of these games is they've looked at the hardware, they've looked at what VR is doing, they've looked at the challenges around movement and things like that, and they've addressed them in really interesting ways. Painful Discourse, you often use guides after completing guides. Okay, after completing games is fine. You don't have to give yourself any lashings for that now that I've done it myself. We're both off the hook. But you check for loot, so you're mostly looking for collectibles and things like that. If I looked at a guide and it told me about some collectibles and things that I hadn't got, I'm okay with that. I don't collect things. Peter Morland, was that the one where I was shooting around corners? I was shooting very perfectly around corners, right between the eyes of my enemies. Yes. So Fracked is the one that I streamed, and the game jumped straight in with skiing, which is not your typical gaming scene, but rather than have you walk around and get motion sick, it throws you on a pair of skis going downhill with a nice gentle introduction to skiing. It does then put you on feet, but it's a big mix as you go through between skiing, running around, and using your hands to climb. So if you've seen the trailer for Horizon, in fact, why aren't I playing any trailers? Trailers are cool. No, I can show my own YouTube video while I talk about Fracked. It's only a short video that I stuck on my channel because why not? Because I had some footage, and I will play it in the background without any sound. So this is Fracked with the skiing and the movement. If you've seen the trailers and things for the Horizon Call of the Mountain game for PlayStation VR, then you've probably seen that has a lot of climbing. And if it's because the Horizon base games on the PlayStation have a lot of climbing as well, so in universe it makes sense that you do it. But climbing is a thing that's really quite prevalent in VR at the moment in general. So developers have realized that even if a player is sitting on their ass in a chair, gripping an environment with your hands and climbing around is quite intuitive and works quite well. Fracked does something else with it. You can see on the footage all the zip lines and things like that. Those are cool. But Fracked does something a little bit special with the cover system that it's got. So again, taking into account that people may be sitting down or playing in all kinds of ways, probably not deliberately taking into account the fact that I'm standing on a treadmill. So don't need to explain it. You can see on the screen. I play on an omnidirectional treadmill, which is so niche that nobody should ever design for it. But I'm happy to say that it works well in this game. Tony, I'll get to that in a second. It's a good question, so we'll get to it in a second. But I played on Treadmill, and the climbing still works really well, and the skiing was still absolutely fine. But the cover system, you can see on screen right now, it's really natural because you grip the environment with your non-shooting hand, and you just kind of peer out by looking. You don't think my tweet went out? This is a sad thing. I tried to... So Isla put a little promotion together for this show to help me draw people over to watch it. My attempt to send that on Twitter after I pushed the live button caused a problem with the stream. So if it hasn't actually even sent, then unfortunately I can't go back and send it, and I'm very sorry for wasting your time with that. But yeah, so you grip the wall and you lift yourself to peek over it, and you duck yourself back in into cover. And it might, I would imagine, and it's hard for me to put myself in the position of not having tried this, because obviously I have. If you haven't tried it, it probably sounds really weird. Probably doesn't sound natural and intuitive at all, but it really bloody is. It took no time whatsoever to become second nature to use that system for cover. Especially so being on the treadmill, where my physical movement is in some ways limited, which leads on to your question, Tony. So Tony's just asked in chat if I prefer the treadmill or having a big ass room to move around in for VR. And the treadmill does have pros and cons. It's the obvious big pro is that it's bigger than a big room in a sense. So when I'm on that treadmill, if I'm looking in a level of Fract, or I'm looking up a mountain in Skyrim, or whatever game it is, I can keep traveling for as long as I want without running into a wall. And that's perfect. I can just run and run and run and run and run. So in that sense, you've got infinite scope and scale to keep running and moving. What you don't have is much smaller scale movement. So if I'm playing Blade and Sorcery, I'm going to bring up my Blade and Sorcery clip because those are also brilliant. I enjoy my Blade and Sorcery. So if I'm playing Blade and Sorcery, which is a very physics-driven melee game where you get your weapons and you do your close quarters combat, in an ideal world, I'd like to be able to shift my way and step around and move naturally to fight people. Navigating my own channel, finding this thing. Yeah. Blade and Sorcery on the treadmill again. Older setup, I don't have it looking like this anymore. It looks better now. But Blade and Sorcery is really funny. Blade and Sorcery would be much easier if you had a really big space to move around naturally in. So you could shift and slide your feet around. If I wanted to stab someone in the ribs, I could duck alongside them and do just that. On the treadmill, that's very difficult. Hence, my usual strategy in Blade and Sorcery is to hold two swords forwards, yell, and run forwards as fast as I can. So, Tony, the answer is I prefer the treadmill overall, which is good because it costs an awful lot of money. There are situations where being harnessed in can make me a less effective fighter, but it's worth it. It's fun, especially for gun games and things like that. Painful Discourse has said Crystal Dynamics and Eidos Montreal officially regained control of their IPs today. That's good. Maybe they will outline what's the overall plan for the future. Yeah, so they were bought by Embracer from Square Enix, and the deal came with not just the studios but most of their IPs. So games like Thief and obviously Tomb Raider all went across. There's been a lot of talk that Embracer are also talking to Marvel as well, because they want, for example, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, which doesn't come with the deal because that's obviously a Marvel IP that Square Enix licensed for the game. Embracer are trying to get those licenses so they can carry on that work too, which I hope to see. A lot of people want to see Thief. A lot of people want to see Tomb Raider. I was a big fan of the Tomb Raider rebooted trilogy, especially the first one of those three games. I think Crystal Dynamics did absolutely brilliantly with those games. Personally, I don't particularly want to see more in that series. I'm quite content with where it went. Doesn't need rebooting again yet. But what about you? Painful Discourse, Thief and Legacy of Kain, I knew those ones would come up. I was just going to ask which IP you're particularly interested in. Faith is a good little lead into the other game that I'm going to talk about, though. I'm going to drink some of my coffee. It's cold now. Peter Morland, you didn't know that I had what on VR? I've missed something. I've missed something. Ina's question I can't answer. Would you rather play in a big ass room or a big boobs room? There's a question that I probably shouldn't even have read out loud, but I've done it, and I'm just going to leave that one there. You can set up a poll for other people if you want, Isla, but I will leave that one unanswered. Tony, wouldn't Connect 2 be a good companion for VR then? Yeah and no. First downside of Connect, it's a Microsoft thing. They don't care about VR because they're evil. They're evil, I tells you. The Connect V2 that came with the Xbox One, it had a lot of latency as far as VR is concerned. It wasn't a good substitute for proper tracking. You'd still need the tracking that you get on your Oculus or your Index or even your Windows mixed reality things. I think it would have been good for the addition of full body tracking. So they'd still need to have a proper fully functional VR system that works without Kinect. But it would be good enough to put in your body and your legs and all the rest of it, which is quite a niche thing that's mostly reserved to VR chat at the moment. But Blade and Sorcery that's on the screen at the moment, if you've got full body tracking there, it's normally achieved by strapping trackers to your ankles and your hips and things like that. And then you can use your legs to kick these enemies away. I'm quite good at kicking stuff, so I'd quite like to be able to do that. And if Kinect allowed me to kick stuff, I'd be happy. Evil, I sure am. Bloop, there goes that. That's like random content from my YouTube channel, so if you get bored and you want to see some silliness on a treadmill, sometimes I'm live on Twitch giving you that silliness, but occasionally I'm not. And there's a YouTube channel full of nonsense that you're very welcome to go and look at. There will be more nonsense coming. I will build that up. I will get more and more of it on there. I want to hear the OST and because my sound just turned off. Tony, so a suit would be best for VR movement. Suits are a thing. One of the challenges that VR has is that it's a bit of a pain to get on it and do it. So while I would probably be quite happy to don a fully tracked, full haptics, virtual reality suit that stabs me when I get shot, you can't hear the OST. I can hear the OST. There is an OST. We'll come back to that in a minute. Yeah, it's kind of backgroundy at the moment, but it'll pick up. The suit though, Tony, for a lot of people, just putting on a headset is too much. Like, it's one of the challenges that virtual reality has to overcome. A lot of people aren't interested in putting something on, and a full suit would make time to get into a VR game quite substantial. I'd do it. I get on a treadmill, and like my setup is very picky, and especially when I'm streaming. So streaming VR is a challenge. So if I want to play a VR game, I typically have to set up two different PCs, one to play the VR game and a different one to capture it and stream it. I have to open my Oculus software, push that onto a monitor. I have to open Steam because that's where the games are. I have to open the application that lets me read chat in there. I have to put up the green screens. I have to set the camera up. I have to move all the lights around my room, and I have to get on the treadmill. And then I usually find out that I forgot to charge the headset. So for me, it's obviously not a problem to put on a full body suit for tracking and haptics, but most people aren't like me. Most people say, well, you have to put on a headset. No, I'm going to play a pancake game instead. Which is fair enough, because sometimes you just want to... This is why Quick Resume is so popular on the Xbox. Sometimes you just want snappy, now I'm getting my entertainment straight away. So, Peter Morland, you know it sounds really bad for a gamer, but the reason you won't go VR is that you think you would find it too immersive. It can be. VR can be absolutely terrifying even when it's not supposed to be. I almost wet myself when I went near a firefly on Skyrim and it got too close to my face. I have a I think, quite reasonable real life fear of being stabbed in the eye. So when I'm running around Skyrim, if there's like a tree that height that comes at my eye and like I flinch, it is too immersive. Am I on live chat? I am on live chat. I'm not doing a very good job of reading it all, but I'm trying. RWK. I'm just talking games. The main key point that you've missed, welcome along by the way, key point that you've missed is that we're not talking about anything Jim Ryan said this week. We're not talking about Activision Blizzard because, yeah, and we're not talking about Call of Duty unless somebody mentions Call of Duty VR, in which case I'll happily go there. But besides that, that topic's not on the table because it's too boring for me. Isla was stabbed in the eye. I don't like any eye stories, so we'll park that one. But yes, VR can be very immersive. But Peter is brilliant for that reason as well. RWK, I'm glad people agree and don't want that conversation. I'm not going to be able to stop Kaz from having that conversation on Saturday. But yes. Why when I don't stream, it's like panties hanging out to dry. Tony, I have no idea what that means. I'm going to assume that's like a local phrase that carries great significance to you. Probably is your way of saying that you love me. In which case, thanks. Painful Discourse, your first VR question, and it's lost. No, I haven't. Wait for it. Did I play The Mage's Tale from In Exile in VR? So, The Mage's Tale is an important game for me because it's in that little collection of virtual reality games that Microsoft have hidden. A studio that does that is exploring virtual reality, that wants to bring me the content that I love, and then Microsoft buy them and they're not allowed to do it anymore. Yes, In Exile made The Mage's Tale in VR. It's pretty good. I didn't finish it. It's a little bit off in the pacing, I would say. It's connected to the Bard's Tale. Yeah, it's in the Bard's Tale world, but it's a dungeon run, essentially. I can bring up some footage of The Mage's Tale VR. Why not? There's nothing on my channel because it was before I started streaming and things that I played this one in VR. Mage's Tale VR trailer. Has to be a trailer somewhere. Yeah, we'll do the Vive launch trailer. That should cover it. But it had pretty reasonable spell casting and all the rest of it. RWK hates that the Queen has passed away. Yeah, it's obviously a moment of significance for some in the UK, whether you care for the royal family or not. It's big happenings because none of our money is like legal tender anymore. Got the same problem as Scottish people have had for so many years. We're going to walk into a shop to get our petrol and we're going to hand over notes with Queen's head and they're going to say, well, that's not worth anything now. Big trouble for everyone. And yeah, it's also, I've known a fair few people that are quite into their royal. I'm not personally that fussed whether there's a royal family or not, but I know that it's going to have a lot of impact, particularly on some older people that were quite into all of that. So yes, sad moments. My screen has just started playing a trailer for Still Rising. Maybe I should talk about that at some point. It's not on the agenda, but there is no agenda. I've been distracted this week, and I'll tell you why I've been distracted. This is a big secret. Don't tell anyone. I have a job interview tomorrow morning for a job that I'm super excited for, like really genuinely massively excited for, in a way that I've never been excited for a job before. So, and that is for End Dreams, who are the company that made Fract and the next game that I'm going to talk about. And I'm not going to go into too much detail on what that is, except that I'm going to cry next week if it doesn't go well. So, what kind of games don't I like? In the pancake world, everyone here knows me. What's my least favourite genre or subgenre of game? Let's hope this stream ages well. You're sad like if your friend's grandma died. Connor, straight in with the answer. Absolutely. Speaking of answers, by the way, while we're here, while I'm sidetracked, background is very easy today. I fully expect you to tell me what is in the background, every single one of you. I'm looking at it actually. It's maybe not that simple if you haven't played or aren't familiar with the game. But it's not difficult either. Tony, it is not the Ascent in the background. The OST is not from Cyberpunk. It's from a different game. That someone might have shouted out the answer to, and I'm not sure if they were. It's the Ascent. Tony, you have to specify which one you're trying to get. The OST is from the Ascent, the background is from... Yes, Isla, Cyberpunk. Yes, Painful Discourse. The Ascent is the OST. It marries up with Cyberpunk, being that they're both Cyberpunk games. I'm going to get onto the next VR game soon, but while we're here, has anyone played the Ascent's DLC? I can't remember what they called it, but the Ascent added a DLC maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago that introduced a new side quest, like extra chunk of content, but also introduced melee weapons as well. John Dunn, do you think Cyberpunk is worth playing now? John Dunn, I did a video on the Game On Daily channel about Cyberpunk when they released the Series X and PS5 update. At that point in time, I would have said yes. At this point in time, I would say no. Reason being, we'll talk Cyberpunk in a little bit actually, but reason I would say no is that the DLC's coming fairly soon. So, and the DLC takes place mid-campaign. So rather than play the whole campaign and then loop back to the DLC, I would suggest waiting at this point until the extra content is in there, because the extra content will probably be good. And I will talk a little bit about the extra content later. Berserker this, welcome along. You wanted to like the Ascent, you played it at launch on Game Pass, riddled with bugs for you, and you haven't gone back too much to play. Berserker, did you play it online co-op? Because that's where I found, particularly cross-platform, that's where I found most of the bugs came in. The General C is being horribly sarcastic or cynical there. Jordan, allow me to rescue you. Do not play Knack. Don't play Knack. Berserker, so I had many problems with the Ascent. I still haven't finished the Ascent. I still have it installed because it's actually awesome for these kind of backgrounds that I do. The Ascent has a really good photo mode and looks pretty stunning throughout. So yes. Painful Discourse, The Witcher 3 next gen this year. I'm looking forward to that. It's been a long time since I played The Witcher. It's a very long game, but I will play that one again. Rims, good evening, and rip Her Majesty the Queen. Yes. Good evening, Rims. Oh, Connor, if you've got Jordan playing Gears Judgment, then you definitely have no right to get him playing Knack as well. What's wrong with you? Why are you doing this? Why are you inflicting suffering on people? Destiny 2 you can have. Some people actually like that one. Berserker this, yeah. So this is the Ascent. Co-op 3 people. Consistent gun noises when not firing. Enemies not spawning. Soft locks on the first level. Yeah, there were lots of problems. Lots of problems like that. When I played it a few months ago, so just after the PlayStation 5 version came out, it inspired, I think it was Chris Grinnell, who I'm hoping is doing well now. He's not been well recently, but hopefully he's doing okay. Played it with him and the Darge Knight a little bit, and there were still a lot of bugs. So focus not entirely there. Nat 3, probably, hopefully never. And I say this as someone who would agree that Knack is a better character than Mario, but we know my thoughts on Mario. Knack better than Sonic, says Tony. Silly. It depends whether you're talking about how good the character is and how good the games are, but Knack kind of fails on both fronts. Game wasn't that good, and the character isn't that good. But the character is better than Mario, who is the second worst character in all of gaming. Pop quiz. See who's been paying attention in terms of character rankings and things. It's the one character I like even less than I like Mario, for the same reasons as I dislike Mario. Knack was Game on the Year on some Earth in the multiverse. I don't think it was, Connor. I think in the whole of the multiverse. That's not true. Not Luigi. If you ask me if Luigi is a better character than Mario or not, I'd have to think about it. Yeah, Berserker. I played Judgment a little bit. I only did like the first level of it. The whole like time attack score based interface is just so mood breaking that it wasn't a Gears game for me. Remind you why I hate Mario. I don't hate Mario. Hate's a strong word. Why would I have hate in my heart? I'm such a nice guy. Mario as a character is designed by necessity according to technology limitations and is not actually a character at all. Has no personality, has no charisma, has no worthwhile backstory. He is the shape that he is because it was necessary in the line art LCD screen that he was born on. Is the colours that he is because you could see those colours against a green background once they introduced colour to the first Mario games. Rims, the chokehold on Gaz was not out of hate. That was just my love of fun. And choking Gaz is not fun, I'm afraid. Mario, I don't hate Mario for destroying my dream by going into 3D land. A lot of people like Mario. 5 billion flies can't be wrong. A lot of people do like Mario, and they can be wrong. So it's like an old character. Yes, Isla, there is one character that persists and is even more simplistic and dull than Mario. You can take it that way if you want, Rims. The important thing is, Gaz literally cried. It's not Kirby. Kirby has more character and style than Mario. It is indeed Berserker. This has nailed it. Pac-Man needs to be consigned to history. They released or re-released a remaster of a Pac-Man world game or something a few weeks ago. I'm not having it. Pac-Man World Repacked or something like that. Here we go, Repack. Launch trailer for the Switch 13 days ago. What a travesty. Bomberman's got more character and style than Mario. But yes, you can both have all the points for that. Although I did have to give you a lot of clues, and I've definitely mentioned this before. So not all of the points, just some. You get points for deduction. And again, the points mean, what is this character? Get the... So annoying. Not even VR can save Pac-Man. And VR can save almost everything. Let's talk about my last game of the week, which is another VR one. I don't know, not everyone cares for VR, but you can listen to a little talk about a game that I've enjoyed. The reason that I asked about a genre that I really don't like. Rims, Pac-Man has character. He can munch on anything. No, he can't. No, he can't. He can munch very little. And apparently he can ride some kind of space hoverboard and shoot stuff. Ah, what a character. Hungry is a personality trait. He's not even hungry. He's not. He just only has one movement animation. He can't move and not eat. My point system is as harsh as it is inconsequential. It's not very harsh. It is very inconsequential. I'm giving up points like anything. You didn't even get the answer until I almost gave it to you, and I'm giving you points. Won't be having this complaining. So, how can you hate Mario as a character? He's not even one. Exactly, Painful Discourse. He's not even one. So why are there so many games featuring this basic blob of colour? Anyway, I'm bringing up a trailer for the other game that I played. It's a stealth game. This is the shock horror part of it. But I'm not betraying my own principles of games because I don't like the stealth elements of it. I just really like the game. Does anyone know VR games? Does anyone know of a stealth VR game that I might enjoy? I suspect I'm the only one here that cares about VR, because that's usually the way, unless Kaya Santi turns up he'd possibly know exactly what I'm talking about. Thank you, Peter, for the good luck and the well wishes. Shipbreakers VR, no, Tony, it is not a mod, it is a real game. What's a VR? Yeah, Connor. Gonna get this gameplay trailer. It is a stealth game. It is a very novel stealth game. So it's a game that's very much engineered around what VR is and isn't. And I say that if you think about the Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart game, no, Rims, we're not having that. If you think about Ratchet and Clank, Insomniac came out and said that when they conceptualized Rift Apart, they looked at the technology of the PlayStation 5 and its legendary SSD, and they worked backwards. They were like, what can we do with that new technology? And this isn't I'm not going into what is and isn't possible on an SSD and how much of it's magic and how much of it's lies and all the rest of it, but just in principle they were like, we've got an SSD that enables us to use this kind of mechanic, and they worked backwards and built a game from there. This stealth game is like that for VR in a sense, but in a more profound way. A guy from the Game on Daily audience blocked you because you timed him out for 5 minutes. Fair enough. So Isla, you'd like this game. You don't like standing up. This game is for you. You don't stand up. This is made for the limitations of VR for a person that likes to play sitting down. It is a stealth game. The mechanics are special. The stealth takes away some of the fun for me because I don't like stealth, and this has got proper stealth. You can hide in the long grass, but it's still awesome. It's so fun. Is it Couch Simulator? Berserker, this it's not, although you've just reminded me of the Trover Saves the World game, which is another example of a game that says this is what it's like to sit. Tony, please stop that. Trover Saves the World is another game that is engineered around the fact that you're actually sitting down in real life, and it tries to map that into the game world so that it makes sense, so that you can enjoy a VR game without face planting into a wall or whatever else, without running around. This game is a stealth game that sits you in a boat. In a boat. And it's so good. It's so good. You are infiltrating an enemy base using your stealth mechanics in a boat, a little canoe. And you move, as you can see on screen, you move by paddling through the water. And you've got a pistol on your chest, an assault rifle on your back, a sniper rifle just sitting down by your right side, and you've got your oars, your paddle on the left. So you grab the paddle and you through the water like you're on a boat. And yeah, you got this little scan the environment thing. Is there a pancake version? No, it wouldn't. You couldn't do this in Pancake. If it were a Pancake game, it would boil down to fairly basic stealth. But see the way in that little part of the clip there, the gate was lifted with the hands. That's the other thing that it does. So you're rowing your boat, all stealth-like, trying to be quiet, not splashing your oars too much, hiding in the long grass like a proper PlayStation game. And it's not like instant, it's not the worst kind of stealth where it's instant fail if you get caught, but it is pretty punishing. So when you are caught, you are very likely to die. There's not a lot you can do to avoid getting shot when you're in a boat. But yeah, it's got explosive barrels. It's got spotlights. It's got devices. It's got a pretty interesting, like, full-featured story. You're trying to imagine Solid Snake being sneaky while shouting row every few seconds. You don't shout row, you use your hands and you row. But I was well impressed by it. Just the movement. It has everything that I dislike about stealth. Like I say, you've got the enemies have their spotlight, so you have to avoid their spotlight. And if you do kill one and then you go and hide for a while, after a while, like they'll go, oh, we need to find the person. Oh, we can't find them, and then they just give up and go back to their post. It's got things like that are like bugbears of mine in a pancake stealth game, and the reason I wouldn't typically play them. But stacked up against a boat that feels really good to move around. It feels really good to move around in your boat. It's got a fully featured campaign, storied campaign, not full of a million voice actors or anything. It's got the stories delivered mostly in your ear, but the world design, the level that you're in, it's supposed to be an abandoned, previously destroyed military complex that's now flooded in a pretty reasonable way. It's like on the coast or whatever. And yeah, you just boat around, going through all these stealth scenarios, doing things that you'd expect to do in a stealth game, like disable this tower. You can go and blow up these arrays, or you can go underneath it and disable the power. And then, like, I would love for a less stealth version of it that's more combat focused. At the same time, I did just say like a minute ago that it's quite hard to avoid being shot when you're on a boat. It's quite hard to move around, so I can see it probably is better suited to stealth, despite my misgivings of stealth. Saints Row VR coming soon to Nintendo Switch. Tony, no. Your mention there of shouting Row reminds me of Rise, Son of Rome. It wasn't Row that you had to shout, but it tried to make use of the Kinect by having voice commands. I can't remember what the mechanic was, but you'd have your soldiers, and every now and again you'd have to yell at them to do something. Like fire volley, I think, was one of them, to get them to fire arrows, but you couldn't shout it whenever you wanted. You had to wait for a prompt. It would prompt you on screen and say, fire volley, and you could either press like left bumper or you could shout, fire volley. And for some reason it doesn't work on the PC version, even though it's clearly just using a microphone and not the Kinect. Anyway, that's completely off topic. Rise, Son of Rome. But the other thing that you can do, so when I talk about the movement in this boat being the highlight of the game for me, so you can obviously row your boat, you can stop, you can turn, and all the rest of it. But you can, if you're near to like a surface and you poke at it with your oar, you can push your boat away, like you'd expect to. So you can push on the environment to move your boat around. And if there's like handles and things or bars, you can grip them and maneuver your boat as you would expect. And it's just such a neat concept for a game. It's one that's some things, like the way that Fract has its cover system, that can be like a design paradigm that other games can copy. And it just makes sense that if you're doing a first-person shooter, you've seen this cover system works well, you might as well implement it. But being on a boat in a stealth game is so specific that I don't think it is a paradigm that can be copied very easily. So it needs a sequel and an action version. It's so fun. Tony, I happen to have seen, I know what you're talking about there. You're talking about the advert on the TV. That's the one that I happened to notice, and I thought, oh well, I'll just play it anyway. No one's going to pay any attention to the adverts in Cyberpunk. Oh, there it is. That's not the worst one. Cyberpunk tries its hardest to be adult. It does. How are the waffles? Oh, I'm missing something. Who's getting waffles? Your dad is from closer to Edinburgh, but trying to activate OK Google is a disaster. OK Google is one I never use. I very rarely talk to technology. Tell me more anyway. These are games that I've been playing. You've barely mentioned what you've been playing, and I want to know stuff there as well. So I don't have loads of topics for today, and I am planning a shorter show, which means there probably isn't all that much left. But we always have some bring your own topic, and we are going to talk a little bit about Cyberpunk. Maybe the Xbox Elite controller. Probably not vegetarian sausages. Until I can eat them in VR. V2. Peter Morland, I assume you're asking about the controller. We're going to talk about that then. Let's just, because that won't take very long. You're looking forward to the Ubisoft show. Yes, John, we can touch on that as well. So very quickly, the Elite controller. So Microsoft have announced they called it the Elite Series version 2 Core. It's the same as the version 2 Elite that everyone knows and complains about, but it doesn't come with the swappable parts. So I think it's got all the same features in terms of the hair trigger grips, the adjustable resistance on the sticks and things like that. All of that's included, but you don't get replacement parts like the full version of the Elite version 2 comes with swappable thumbsticks, so you can get a taller domed one or a little short stubby one, and you can swap them in and out. You'd have to buy those separately for the Elite version 2 core. Price wise, it's I think $130. I don't know what it is in the UK, and that's compared to $170 ish for the full version. What I haven't seen any evidence of is them making that a proper Series X/S controller. I'm kind of disappointed by the announcement of the core Elite controller. You thought it was the same as just the regular sticks. So Peter, it'll come with the sticks that are the default on the Big Brother Elite. So you can, like, they're literally the same ones. You can pull them out and swap them, but it doesn't come with the alternative ones. You'd have to buy them in a little pack somewhere, and it doesn't come with the carry case if you wanted to put it in a carry case for whatever reason. But it's also white, and they're also, I don't care that it's white. Why do people care about the colors of their consoles and controllers and things? I want them all to be invisible. Not completely invisible. It'd be quite annoying not to be able to see the controller that you want to use, but I don't like that the PlayStation 5 is a big white eyesore. Don't care about the controller color, as long as they're comfortable and they work well. But it's white, comes without the extra parts. Maybe it comes with stick drift, maybe it doesn't, nobody knows. But I think I'm still of the thinking that there's more they can do with controllers. I like some of the things that Sony have done with the DualSense, and I want Microsoft to copy it on a version 3 of the Elite controller and a version 2 of the Series base controller. I want some of the haptics because they're a nice feature. So I was disappointed when they released the Master Chief Special Edition Elite version 2. And I'm disappointed now that they've released the white one. You can't just ask her why she's white. What? What am I missing? You're very confusing. Very confusing. So Berserker says you might just bite the bullet and get the full Elite 2, especially now that it's come to Design Lab. Yeah, I don't know how much Design Labs cost, but if you want an Elite version 2 in your own fancy colours, that's the one to get. I don't know when it's going to happen, but I still expect an Elite version 3 at some point, because the version 2 one doesn't even have the share button. And it's weird that you can have a controller, like the top high-end prestige version of the controller is missing a feature from the basic edition. So there has to be a version 3 coming. Or it's weird. It's weird that they haven't just added that button to the Elite Series 2. And the fact that they haven't kind of implies that there's more coming, so I hope so. They'll get flack if 3 isn't 6 months away. Yeah, they'll get flack if they release a Series 3 right on the back of releasing the small version, the core version. You're held captive by Nintendo and are forced to listen to Mario say Wahoo on repeat for 24 hours or marathon all the Mario games back to back to be let 3. Which one are you choosing? 24 hours has to take less time. I can tune it out of my brain. I know this is like it's the famous ancient Chinese torture, isn't it? They leave you in a room with a drip of water that sounds like Mario saying Wahoo on repeat for 24 hours, and you totally lose your mind and all the rest of it. But I reckon I can take it. I reckon I can take that more than I can take playing the Mario games. And I say that, I don't mind the 2D Mario games. I'd quite happily play through some of them. But for the fact that I'm not sure if I'd finish them, I'd probably die. There's a lot of Mario games, Connor, so I'm going to pick the 24 hours of noise. Thank you for the question. You need a new Arctic Camo controller where your Xbox One controller, but for Xbox Series X. That's a question, actually. So my experience of controllers is limited. I've only got official ones. I've got like the basic DualSense controller for the PlayStation 5. I've got the basic controller for the Xbox, one that comes with it, and I've got Elite version 1 and Elite version 2 controllers for the Xbox, which both still work, actually. But I've not tried any off-brand or non-official ones. I've not tried a Scuff controller or a Razer controller or a Turtle Beach controller or any of these other ones, and some of them are supposed to be quite good now. My reason for not trying them is rooted in childhood, where non-official controllers were frequently terrible. But that's not so much true anymore. And then we went through this really awkward period where the exclusive controllers were the only wireless option, and console manufacturers wouldn't license anybody to make a wireless controller apart from them. So you had a range of maybe good quality but wired controllers competing with the nice convenient wireless ones. I'm pretty sure now you can get wireless anything, wired anything, and quality wise they probably compare. So is anyone using a really good controller that you like more than the base controller for whatever console? You can even tell me about the Switch if you want. Switch is the one exception where I have the cheapest I could find off-brand controller, which serves its purpose, which is to sit beside the Switch and never get used. You don't know what to say. You loved the early 3D Mario games. You spent hours on them with your kids. Peter, it's okay. I am well aware that I'm on an island on my own, shouting at the world, while they tell me how much they love Mario 3D, Mario 64 and all the rest of it. So you have the Switch Pro controller, so that's an official one, which is... I've heard it's quite nice to use, but I don't have one. All of Tony's base controllers are broken. You need a third-party controller, you think? Or you just need to stop juggling controllers or whatever it is you're doing. Spriggan, the only one that you like is Mario 64. Mario 64 is the game that put me off of all 3D platformers, although to be fair, if Mario 64 didn't exist and the 3D platformer genre had evolved naturally without it, I'd still hate it. It's just not for me. Hate's a strong word. I liked Cameo and maybe a couple of others. I want to play Psychonauts 2 still. So yeah, maybe it is all Mario's fault. Damn that Mario. You have to say that you have a Switch that you've owned for 2 to 3 years. You've used it for less than 20 hours, but you still love Nintendo. Pizza, I have. So the Switch that I have by my feet right now was kind of a Christmas present for the children's. So I've got 2 boys and they got it with Mario Kart, Smash Brothers, Mario Odyssey, and some party game of some sort. The only other game that I've got from the Switch... No, I've got 2 other games for the Switch. I've got Fire Emblem 3 Houses, which is the only one that I played, and I played it through and completed it. 1 playthrough with what's-her-face, Edelweiss, which is, I think, the canon playthrough for that game. And that game, I was kind of disappointed. I really liked it at first, and then it was set in a school, and the story went... It never really went anywhere interesting. So that's my one Switch game that I've played. The other Switch game that I've bought and own, I bought for Tony Okami there, who insisted that I buy Scott Pilgrim Saves the World for the Switch so that we can play it online. I've never played it. Painful Disco Psychonauts 2 was good if you like Tim's humour. You played the first one last year on Xbox Enhanced. It is enhanced, but it's still 4:3 ratio, isn't it? Scott Pilgrim time. Yes, Tony. So you said this was a few months ago, and to be fair, it cost like £3 or something on sale, so I don't necessarily regret that I have it for the Switch. But yeah, if you want to add me on Switch, I don't know what my 13-digit code is, so good luck. You don't vibe with most Animal Crossing New Horizon players. You don't trust them. That's a lot of people not to trust. What are you stealing? Spriggan, you were a Mega Drive kid. Your brother had the SNES. You loved games like GoldenEye, Streets of Rage, Alien Storm, Shadow of the Beast, Biohazard Battle. Yeah, I played many of those. Not all of those, but many of those. Also had a Mega Drive, but Never in that place where people like to argue with each other about who's got what and what's better. I had a Mega Drive and someone down my street had a Super Nintendo, and I'd take every opportunity I could get to go and play their console. They'd do the same on mine. And that's where I still am as a grown-up. When Gaz is there having his console wars, I'm like, no, I want to play everything. I like everything. They're all fun. But there we go. I had Risk It for the Biscuit commented on my YouTube video saying, no, pancake games are better than VR games. It's not a conversation for me. Like, why can't you enjoy both? I like playing football and I like watching TV. I like playing football more than I like watching TV, but I'm not going to shun watching TV or the other way around. It's like, I've got room in my life to like more than one thing. I can even have favorites and still like the others. So wild. Fury Unleashed, can I put up the trailer? I sure can, Tony. I'm curious as to what that is. Because I want to say, like, the name is familiar, but of course the name is familiar because they're really, like, overused words. Fury Unleashed in a nutshell from the PlayStation channel. That's an official trailer. Oh, Tony, this isn't like Hades. This is like Rogue Legacy. But hopefully better. But I didn't get along with Rogue Legacy 2. This does look more dynamic. It does look better than that. So I'm going to give you a firm maybe. I reminded you of a picture you meant to tweet. Okay. So I like watching TV. No, it wasn't a particularly good example. I'm not a massive fan of TV. It's definitely my last choice hobby. My wife likes to watch TV, and it's a thing that we can do together because she doesn't play many games. So I watch it in that sense. I enjoy some anime, some series, some films, but yes, now that you mention it, I do kind of like watching TV sometimes. On occasion. It's just last choice behind playing games and things like that. And actually moving and sporting in some way. As you know. You actually don't know if you like Destiny, but... So, my problem, Connor, with Destiny, I really like it in a sense, until it gets to the point that it starts giving you bounties, like its daily quests. I'm not gonna farm. Gunplay and the art and the world are brilliant in Destiny, and I love them in Destiny 1 and Destiny 2. They're spectacular. But you get to a point where it just becomes a grind for resources and all the rest of it. Plus, I've never actually had anyone to play it with in a social sense, because my timing is awful. So, I don't know. I reckon I could probably get properly invested in Destiny and sink a ton of time into it, because I like a lot about it. But I've steered clear for the sake of keeping some time free for the rest of my life. Have I seen Sandman? John Dunn, I am about... See, this is definitely not a show where I'm going to talk TV programs heavily. I'm 3 or 4 episodes into Sandman. And Morpheus has just had a weird game of imaginary top trumps with the devil. And it sucks. So I'm hoping that one picks up. Because I was very disappointed by that. Tony, I can't promise you that I'm going to play Fury Unleashed. It looks like a nice evolution of 2D shooters. So the problem I had with Rogue Legacy is you were so limited in the ways that you could attack, and it just didn't feel very good to play. This one at least lets you shoot in every direction. Oh, and it has an easy mode, so it's alright for Tony. I can see how you're getting through. Oh, you can even slow it down. Time to ask invasive questions. No, I don't. It's called Q&A, so you can ask me the questions. Yeah, but I can ignore whichever ones I want. The problem with Destiny is that it's all dailies and raiding. PvP gets no love and the campaign feels disjointed, a lower effort than their previous work on Halo. The first Destiny campaign was mostly, I can't remember actually. I was gonna say it was good then, but I don't remember it. I remember it keeping a lot of the lore out of the game through its little grimoire cards, and that was a bad touch. So yeah, I don't think the first game's campaign lived up to Halo. At least the second one, I played the campaign that doesn't exist anymore when it came out, and in terms of set pieces and style, it was quite marvelous. Like that mission it has where you were clumping around on the outside of a ship avoiding the rays of the sun and whatever was really impressive, and I liked it a lot. But I've not followed the story. Like Destiny 2 story was, it was alright, and I don't know what they've done with it since that initial launch, which puts me many years behind on the story, which makes story quite a difficult thing. It's not that enticing to get into on a story front for that reason, but screenshots still look really good. Screenshots and trailers, every time I see them of Destiny, I'm like, oh, that's my kind of game. And it is my kind of game. And then I remember, yeah, daily grinds and stuff like that put me right off of it. Tony, easy for streamers is what it states on it. Yeah, but not me. I play games on... I pretend that I'm playing them on the hardest difficulty. They're always on the default normal one. Pizza Morning, you watch TV with the missus for a couple of hours, but that is your limit. Not the missus, how long you can watch TV. 2 hours with the missus, I don't know your missus, but I'm going to take your word for it that that's comfortable. And yes, games are much more mentally stimulating. So I like to move is one thing that I insist on doing. I've always had work that was very much desk-based. So I do a fair amount of stuff that involves moving. And I like to play games. These are my top things. And I'm not separating VR and pancake games there. I like to play games. Watching stuff is lower down on the list, but I do it from time to time, yes. Time for a random poll. Oh no. Choose your fighter. This is a very random poll. It has my name on it. I did not put this poll up. You vote what you want. And I don't think I can actually see the results, so you're going to have to tell me the results of the poll as well. Favourite snack while gaming? Can't snack while gaming, I'll make my controllers dirty. I'm very particular. But I will walk away from the games and have an egg custard tart whenever I can. Don't let you down. Not a poll of culture. Because it only had, yeah. I'm not even going to read out what the poll is, that's fine. What has Isla unleashed? What else have we got? Cyberpunk, that's what I was going to talk about, and someone commented on Cyberpunk ages ago. Do I scroll up and find it? No, give me your Cyberpunk comments again. So we had a question earlier about whether we recommend... How about sweat breaking my gaming accessories? I've never only broken 2 VR headsets with my sweat. Yeah, I'm lost. I don't think I got much feedback on third-party controllers, so I'm assuming that everybody else is stuck to the official ones as well and is perfectly happy with the controllers that they've got. It was John Dunn that asked the question, would I recommend playing Cyberpunk now? And I mentioned the DLC. Yeah, I don't actually have the date of the DLC. I've not watched the trailer yet. I figured I'll save it for this moment. So let me bring up the Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty. So today or yesterday, a Cyberpunk 2077 patch came out that has some tie-in content to the Edge Runner anime that's on Netflix, which is supposed to be quite good if anybody's into that kind of thing, which I am, but I haven't watched it yet. So Cyberpunk 2077 Edge Runner is supposed to be good. I don't know how much of it is available to watch. But that patch came out. It fixed a few more things in the long list of things that Cyberpunk has fixed. And they also made some promises about the content that's coming next, which I haven't seen yet. So I'm going to mute my OST. I'm going to bring up this trailer with some sound so that we can see it. I can't hear it. I've done the wrong sound.
Do solemnly swear.
IV. Do solemnly swear.
That I shall faithfully serve
Cyberpunk,
the
good-looking
new
game.
United States of America.
That I shall
The
faithfully
8-bit
serve
Dope
the
Pro
new
2
United
controller. What's that,
States of
Rims?
America.
On behalf of all Americans, I thank you for your service.
You know, taking that oath. Bad idea.
I had this video downloaded. Why's that? Give me a date. Give me a date. Not. Oh. That's a whole year. And you'll note the platforms. The platforms are interesting there. As a point of, I don't know, contention for some people, but not many. So that trailer is all of it. Rip twit. Oh, I see. I see the promotion that you sent for this that has failed to send. I hadn't actually watched myself. I trust you implicitly and was just like, yes, upload promotion and go. So I'm sorry that didn't send. Where is the other earpiece? It is dangling. It's dangling beside me with no... So my earpieces have replacement memory foam bud things, and one of them ripped to pieces. So give you... Yeah, let me just pop my Twitter password here on stream for you. Yeah. YouTube is like quite good at picking up what you say when you put spaces between things. So if you're trying not to get swatted by putting a space in that word gun, might not work. So you keep an eye out or an ear out for the door knocking. What's one game that you'd stop Gaz from playing? Depends if I'm trying to be spiteful or helpful. Gaz will play whatever's trending in the Xbox community. At the moment, he's playing Fortnite because some of his friends were. I would stop him. Spriggan, I wouldn't stop Gaz from playing Brute Force. I would probably positively encourage him to go and play Brute Force. I've never played Brute Force, but it's such an obscure game to yell out that putting it on a block list would be fairly ineffective. I don't think Gaz has plans to play Brute Force. Gaz needs to be stopped from playing. He doesn't really play Apex. He needs to be stopped from spending money on Apex. We can all agree on that. But I've not seen him play it for ages. He's moved over to Fortnite and Call of Duty. And I would stop him from playing. Nah, nothing. Nothing. It's a joke with Gaz that he's brought it up a few times before as a horrid game. I think he doesn't bring it up as a horrid game. He brings it up as an obscure IP from Xbox's past. Force Gaz to play Goat Sim. Gaz would like Goat Sim. Gaz is like, he'd like Roblox. He likes whatever he's told to like, and games for that generation are for people that are as easily influenced as Gaz. So yeah, if he's heard that everybody else is enjoying Goat Sim, then he'll enjoy Goat Sim. Which sounds really, really condescending. I'm sure he forms his own opinions, but he's very easily influenced on what games he plays. Gaz should be allowed to play all stuff until he disappears up his own auction house. But you still love him. I know that's not auction house, but that's what I've gone with. Rims is off. Last day of work tomorrow. Last day of work. If you've got time to explain that before you go, why is it the last day of work? If not, then that's fine. You go enjoy your last day of work and I'll speak to you another time. What popular game would you delete for the better of humankind? These are good questions. I'm gonna go with Roblox. Yeah, that's my answer. Followed by Fortnite. So these games are, I think, pretty cynical in the way that they hook children. And it's very difficult to stop children from playing them once they've discovered this world of mediocrity. But they will sit for hours on games that cynically play off of dopamine releases, where they just run up to an egg and hold the right trigger for 5 minutes, and then 6 minutes, and then 7 minutes, and then several hours, so that they can do it by bigger eggs. I saw one of my sons playing a game where you have an unlimited supply of a drink that makes you jump higher. So you press a button to drink it, and then you jump, and you can jump higher. And there were people playing this, and that was the whole game. How long can you hold down a button and then show other people how high you can jump? So Roblox, I would absolutely obliterate from existence. And I don't know whether Roblox was started to be this cynical. I don't know whether it's the company, which I think are just called Roblox, that are behind all of the problems. They don't come across as innocent with the way that they copied Bethesda's logo and allowed for this like copyright theft black market of a game to just go completely unmoderated. But there is also something to Roblox in terms of it's a creative tool. So they may well have started that game out with good intentions to give people an entry point into making like games of their own and seeing their own visions come to life in the way that what's that PlayStation one called that Media Molecule did? What's it called? So Microsoft did Project Spark and then they dropped it. PlayStation still have this one going, and people keep on, every now and again you'll see a thing on Twitter like, look, they've replicated this game on X. I've forgotten what it is. Not Little Big Planet. They did one that's leans heavier into the creative tools and less into the game. Dreams, there we go. Made in Dreams. Why not? Why not? Because it's not the one that I was thinking of. That is the only reason. So, like, accusatory. I'm glad that you love Little Big Planet, but Dreams was the one that I was talking about. Roblox has, like, it might have been set up with the same kind of intentions as that, and it devolved into cynical child ruiner. So, yes, that's the one game that I would delete. Whatever their intentions were, they cultivated pure evil. It will become the boss of a future Japanese RPG after we've all got together and sealed it away in a vault somewhere. A cuisine I dislike, but is liked mostly on a global scale. Fish. No one ever talks about games that you love. We can talk about Little Big Planet sometimes. We can talk about Klonoa sometimes. I had a Minecraft background just recently. And you love Call of Duty, but I've specifically refused to talk about that one today, so sorry. So Cyberpunk, that was the DLC. I've not got a lot to say about it, to be fair. I think 2023 is quite a big release window. So when I say wait for the DLC, I'd still recommend that, to be honest. I think the game looks and performs just fine on both next-gen consoles now. It's worth playing in that sense. But the additional content coming next year, I think, will add quite a lot to it. It's also no longer going to be supported on the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. You can't hear the OST because I left it muted. Thank you for the heads up. OST is back. You can now hear the beautiful sounds of the Ascent. Exactly, John Dunn. That's why I say I've actually seen this conversation quite a bit on Twitter lately, other people asking, and the people that advocated for Cyberpunk at launch, despite its problems, are still saying, like, now's the perfect time to jump in. Now's not the perfect time to jump in. If you've waited this long, if you didn't jump on it when they fixed the next-gen versions, keep waiting for the extra content. If it's anything like The Witcher 3, the extra content will be well worth the wait anyway. And like I say, it takes place mid-campaign, so it's not tacked on to the end of the game. It's just there available in the world, so I would definitely wait. Connor with the questions again. What's a game that I like that I wished was more popular to the majority of gamers? All of the virtual reality ones, to a degree. Which isn't even entirely true. I want it to be not the majority of gamers. So I rescind my answer. Connor, I rescind my answer. And not all of the VR games. I would like all of the VR games to be more popular than they are, but I don't need them to reach a majority. Same question as your last, but non-VR. Yeah, I've taken back the VR answer. I want to see VR grow enough that it gets more support, but I've already fairly staunchly said people always talk about like, oh, VR's not going to be mainstream, or it is going to be mainstream, and I always dismiss that as I don't care if it's mainstream. I want games for me to play. I don't care about mainstream. So I want VR to grow to an extent that I get more games. Majority though, I don't think I want. I would like the majority to enjoy anything that's not microtransaction fueled drivel, because that would just be good for the health of the industry. So like a good wholesome, although Elden Ring already did that. Elden Ring already made a fair mark saying that real games can have a place and make money. I don't know. I'll take that one away, Connor, and I'll think about it, and it might appear in a little side since you asked video, because you asked. And I don't talk Minecraft either. There's not any Minecraft to talk. It's not. I don't know, maybe just for you, when there's Minecraft to talk, when they next have a major update or whatever, I'll cover it. We can talk about Minecraft. But until that day, you have to wait for some news, I'm afraid. We'll talk Minecraft Legends when that's near a release, in the hope that it turns out to be better than it looks. They're deleting the name history API thing. That doesn't mean things to me. Like, I know the words that you're saying. I know all of the words that you're saying. But why would you want an API to see a history of names? What names? Like your character's name? Smash the like button. Yes, please do. The show has run longer than I expected. Actually, it will be ending very soon. But if you are here right now, caress the like button gently for the good of whatever device you're using. You don't need to smash it, but just hard enough that it lights up to say that you've hit it. Subscribe to the channel and lick your nose. Apparently you could look up people's old usernames. Well, that's probably a thing that it's good to get rid of. People change their name for a reason. Peter Morland loved games, The Fall, The Swapper, The Turing Test, Inside Ori, Trials, Fusion, Unravel, Shell Shock Live, Wreckfest, Horizon 5, Rocket League, Oddworld, Soulstorm. Is this, Peter, is this your answer to Connor's question? So General C's question. These are games that you wish were more popular than they were. Connor headbutted the keyboard. I hope both the head and the keyboard are doing well. Tony says the Cyberpunk anime is going to be fire. I hope so. Painful Discourse is a very enthusiastic Swapper fan. Is all I can take from the capitals. Yes, if you haven't smashed the like button, if you're watching after this was live, also, you can hit it as hard as you want. You can smash it, you can caress it gently. Just make sure that like button is lit up. And if you are watching after the fact, comment, say hello. Give me a little comment on there. Ask a question for me to get to next week, because I thrive off of the questions. As you can see, this is what this whole show is. People ask me questions and we go there. Great show and good luck for your interview. Thank you, John. Thank you. I'm going to tell you what the job is because it's quite interesting to me. And I'm going to be devastated if I don't get it. It's for all the people that know me and know my interest in games. The job is a VR third-party content scout. So Endreams have a publishing arm, and they need a content scout. They need someone to go out and check PR games that are in the pipeline from developers that need a little help getting it published, basically. So to spot the good ones, play games in an early state that might just be like a concept of how you move around a world or something like that. Identify the good ones, identify the teams that are capable of delivering on that promise and signing them up for publishing. I've never wanted a job before. Exactly, Peter. That's me. I genuinely thrive off of that. So yeah, exactly, John. I definitely have the passion for it, and I'm definitely going to be disappointed if it doesn't work out. I'm a grown up and I very much realize that that's a distinct possibility, but clip for future interviews somehow, Tony. I don't think it'll be particularly relevant to any future interviews one way or the other, but it is a shot worth shooting for me, and that's tomorrow morning, so fingers crossed indeed. I think that's probably hour and a half. That's a decent finishing mark. That's longer than I expected for this one to go. So Saturday, very briefly actually, we can talk about it. Just reminding myself. So Saturday Go Live is likely to be an hour later because on Saturday Ubisoft Connect is running, which means if you like Assassin's Creed, you've got stuff to watch, stuff to pay attention to. Ubisoft Connect finishes at 10. Go Live will be appearing after that, or at least that's the latest plan that I've heard. So keep an eye on the usual feeds to check that that's true. But VR producer, your old job, but not VR. You signed up XCOM. Did you now? That's cool. Again, you should be disappointed in no new Prince of Persia. What about if you get to see the Prince of Persia remake that was so disastrously unveiled before and then taken away and redone by another studio? Who's on Go Live on Saturday? I don't know yet. I don't know. I will find out at the same time as you do, which is 9:05 on Saturday. It's not strictly true. I'll find out before then, but... And yeah, I don't have anything else to say about the Ubisoft thing, really. Don't know what's going to be there besides Assassin's Creed. Probably some Far Cry DLC. And of course, Beyond Good and Evil 2 with a release date. As we see every single Ubisoft event. You want more Prince of Persia done in the style of Warrior Within. Bring back the edge. Fair enough. Connor, that is good to know. The guests will definitely have already been arranged for this week, but I can definitely put you on the list of people that are interested in doing. And for those that don't know, Connor also, besides streaming on his Twitch channel, he does a Sunday show with Wandering Dutch, the midweek mix-up weekend edition, as well as going on their midweek show sometimes as well. So lots of Connor if you want to go and see what he's up to and fire back the kind of questions that he's been asking here. And on that, thank you everybody for watching now or later or whenever you get around to it. I really do appreciate the familiar names that are here every week, and the ones that I don't see, of course, as well. But I almost didn't do a show today. I thought, there's not been that much news. I'm really distracted by other things. I might just skip a week and see what happens. But then I remembered the number of people that come here for these conversations and I couldn't do it. Had to go live. And we've done an hour and a half. On that, I will end. I'll be back on Twitch and YouTube and everywhere else in the coming week. And hopefully I'll see you there.
ASA. Game on Daily.